Very good morning to you. First of all, Madam Speaker, this is not Parliament, but please let me start it this way. I would like to first extend my sincere thanks to my esteemed colleagues who have joined us. I know we are extremely busy at this time. 1 hour, I'm pretty sure my colleagues would have written a paragraph or so of their paper or marking, attending meetings. So we're going to strictly follow time and get it done and go. I really appreciate it for making time and coming. This is going to be an infrequent activity that we'll be doing, pursuing, particularly that I'm also co-supervising with other colleagues outside of the faculty. And also in future, I'm sure I'll be co-supervising with colleagues within the faculty who are not really in the field of maths. So I thought we should be doing this, hoping that it would pave a very good ground for us to understand that the fact that we possibly, those of you who know that I'm in the field of maths or digital technologies, doesn't mean that we can't draw in other fields or other disciplines and other colleagues won't be able to work with me. That's the first thing. And also, I think the second important thing to say here to both, to all of us is that we can draw parallel with this and the way, the cast we make. I know some people might be a bit hesitant in coming because look, analysis in maths and possibly the students are also pursuing research related to maths. But the one thing I draw on and to advise myself, and sometimes I tease myself and I tease my colleagues in the field of maths, physics, and so on and so forth, is to say, if we cannot put our discipline in a way that is easily consumed by everyone, then we must as well not do it. Because generally speaking, we are not really pursuing this research and studies just for our own sake. We do that for the general public, for the general consumption. So regardless of whether I'm doing research in maths, physics, computer science, and so on and so forth, it goes beyond the community of practice. In fact, for the most part, it is meant for what I call community of consumers. And you can draw parallel from what I'm saying and the cars that you and I are driving. You can imagine these engineers and stuff. They put in so much aerodynamic mathematics and stuff behind designing the cars, and the cars are meant for all engineers to drive. I mean, can you imagine how you and I would have viewed them? So precisely, please, and this goes to our honorable speakers. You speak in a way that possibly all of us can understand. The research is not meant for you, it's meant for all of us to consume. And that is essentially what iPhone is doing, Samsung is doing, all the cars we drive. The engineers make them so that all of us will be able to understand it in simple language and possibly use them. I think with this, that is generally why I invited everyone. Because essentially the research is meant for everyone and we all need to be able to understand it. And hopefully that our colleagues in different fields and different environments would also be, would have an idea as to what we're doing. It shouldn't be something that should scare anyone off because it's the field of maths and we can work together within my department, outside of my department, outside of my faculty, and outside of my university. So with this, I'm going to leave it at that and then invite our honorable speaker. We have Madam Lithe, who is going to present her work to us, and as much as possible, just 20 minutes time, Ms. Lithe, you present your work and then colleagues would make an input. You have 20 minutes within which to present your work. They would really make an input and so speak in a way that they will understand. Not everyone is doing a field, but everyone wants to consume your work. That is how the phones, the laptops, the cars we drive are actually made. And then we use 10 minutes to question or make comments and make inputs. And the next person is Michael Busum-Train, who will also be proceeding at exactly 10:30 for do a presentation on about 20 minutes. And then the rest of the 10 minutes, we would pose questions and comments for clarification. And remember, not all of us are in your field, so speak as easy as possible. I probably would not understand some of what you're saying, but I hope that your presentation will make it much clearer for me. So yes, colleagues, thank you very much, all of you, for coming, and I really appreciate it. My co-supervisor also here, another study. Thank you very much, Prof. Atimula, Dr. Mapasa, all of you. Thank you very much for coming, and Lincoln and everyone. Makosi. So, well, we hope that other colleagues will join. It's now 5 minutes. I'm going to hand over to our Honorable Madam Lise. You can share your screen with us and then preach to us, convert us. If we don't believe what is happening, we don't believe you, try to convert us. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Bayaka, for arranging this session for me. Ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate you for making time to support me in preparation of the actual defense, which is on the 1st of June, and that is on Wednesday. The purpose or the proposed study is about enhancing rural TVET or rural technical and vocational education and training college students and educators' cognition in computer practice via JAWS as a computer application system. One may wonder what JAWS is. JAWS is a computer application, or should I say in simple terms, a software that is used by students with visual impairments, commonly known as students who are blind, to enter or to navigate the computer applications so that they may access learning just like all other students. So JAWS enables students to read digital content from a computer, and also, as I've mentioned, allows them to access education just like their peers. My name is Lishle, and I am a PhD candidate in the Faculty of Education under the supervision of Professor Bayaka. The motivation towards the study or the proposed study is based on my fascination and also fascination regarding the education of students with visual impairments, particularly in TVET colleges. Also, it is based on my professional experience as an educator or should I say, a previous educator of computer practice subject that included students with visual impairments. So during my times of teaching computer practice, my observations, which are now my concerns and reflections, were the continuous use of human support systems, that is the use of scribes, when students were actually provided with a JAWS software, which is supposed to enable them to access education. And undoubtedly, the reason for the use of scribe at that time, of which is still happening in institutions of learning, was based on the fact that both students and educators lack capacities, or should I say skills, to use computer application softwares that are specialized for the use of, or by the use of students with visual impairments. So it was the case even with myself as an educator, and also my colleagues as well. And another motivation is based on the contextual experiences, that is like literature, which will be discussed very soon. Out of the 50 TVET colleges that have shown interest in embracing inclusive education practices, only a few, if I'm not mistaken, about 3 TVET colleges in South Africa have embraced inclusive education. And the integration of students with visual impairments in their classes demands the use of computer application systems that are specialized for students with visual impairments. And these are commonly known as assistive technologies. However, based on research that generally investigates the use of, allow me, Professor, to say technologies. When I say technologies, I'm also referring to computer application systems. The use of technologies in the education of students in TVET colleges generally. Research has indicated that TVET institutions are not yet ready to accept or to adopt learning systems with the term that is used right now. It even makes it worse when it comes to the use of technologies or computer applications for students that have visual impairments. So some of the challenges that have been identified by literature is that TVET colleges have limited to no formal training in teaching students with visual impairments. And secondly, they have no understanding of students' cognition, that is, learning processes, particularly in the use of computer application systems that are designed to be used by students with visual impairments. Moreover, there is still lack of computer application skills among both students and educators. That is not only in TVET colleges, but in higher education institutions as a whole. As a result of the challenges that I've just mentioned, what has been noted are the delays in the completion times of tasks, particularly in computer practice by students with visual impairments. Also, as compared to their counterparts, students with visual impairments have been noted to delay in the completion of their courses, and also noted as poor performance in terms of graduation or academic performance of students with visual impairments. And because of the challenges that I've mentioned again, ladies and gentlemen, what has been noted and which has troubled me, as I've mentioned earlier, is the employment and acceptance of human system support, generally known as scribes. And this makes me wonder, even now, it makes me question the relevance of the use of JAWS and other related screen readers in supporting students learning experiences. Also, it questions the capacities of the use of these technologies or computer applications to support students. And what has been noted again is that from the invent of inclusive education, writers of inclusive or researchers of inclusive education have recommended a need to address inclusive education challenges relating particularly to the assistive technologies or assistive computer systems usage, as well as pedagogical skills insufficiencies in and outside South Africa. The problem or the research problem is that as much as JAWS has been noted to be an asset or a resource to capacitate, or to enhance students' learning experiences, it's interesting how cognition researchers have this philosophy about the use of JAWS or even related softwares in the education of students with visual impairments or students with any kind of learning impairments. What they say is that based on our understanding that the cognition process or the learning process or the cognition process of a student form a learning system which affords a students to access information and retrieve information required for their understanding of learning. So when a student is given a software or a computer with a software, so these cognition researchers contend that that software or that computer application or even the hardware as well is not just a mere instrument. So what they say is that the software, in this case JAWS, is now part of a student's learning process or part of a student's cognition process. And it means that the integration or the incorporation of JAWS in the teaching and learning environment of a student now is an extension of a student's cognition process. So that means that any success that is seen in the student's learning is demonstrated by the cognitive agency, which also includes that particular software. So now educators need to understand that the use of such softwares is not just an instrument. It's not just an instrument which is outside the body of a student, but it is part of a cognitive process of a student. So educators, even students themselves, need to understand or must have enough skills to make use of such computer application systems, because failure to use the systems effectively may result to cognitive distractions. And this is because the failure most of the times is because of inefficiencies among students and educators as well to use the technology as stated in the background. Also, the unavailability of such systems, in this case JAWS, may also cause a destructive in the cognition process of a student. Furthermore, the inconsistencies in the use of such of JAWS in this case may also be destructive, because that means now a student does not get enough practice on the use of this student of JAWS or of the system in their learning process. And there's even evidence that presents cognitive distractions that are caused by unavailability and even the switch of a device, because of maybe the institution is introducing another device to a student. As much as JAWS has been identified as an asset or a resource that can be used to enhance students' learning experiences, JAWS is not without challenges, particularly in teaching and learning of computer practice. In the absence of proper pedagogical strategies to teach computer practice, a student with visual impairment may find themselves passive in a class, when in fact a computer subject requires a student to be interactive. Unfortunately, if students make use of JAWS or other screen readers, it means that their mental activities they use more mental activities in their learning as compared to other students because of their missing visual cues. If I could make an example about computer practice, assuming that a student is given JAWS, and generally as known, as seen, and also as literature states, a student will have a scribe on the side to assist them with whatever need they may require in their learning. Students with visual impairments rely on listening and to access education, especially those who use JAWS. And when they're listening to a lecturer who gives them computer instructions on how to do this and that and that, it means now they need to listen to 3 voices at once. That means listening to the educator's instructions, also listening to the feedback that is provided by the software as it gives them an indication of what is happening on their screens, and also listening to the scribe that is on the side who's trying to give them directions of where the keys are. And mind you, as a result of inefficient use of JAWS. So that means a student will have to exert more cognitive effort trying to understand the lecturer, listening to the keyboard or listening to the feedback produced by JAWS, and also listening to the scribe on the side. So that may lead to cognitive overload. And this, as I've mentioned earlier, is a result of lack of knowledge and understanding of how JAWS should be used, particularly during the teaching and learning processes. Also, that includes the assessment processes. And also, it's because of limited understanding of learning processes of students with visual impairments. Well, as much as institutions have responded to support needs of students with visual impairments, what has been seen is that institutions tend to give restraining support, which at the same time hinders the very same students to further explore and harness their full potentials and capabilities, that is, to be independent in their learning without having a scribe next to them during the class and also during the assessment processes. So the kind of the support that I'm talking about is what I've mentioned, human support systems. According to Kraft 2021, he says that this kind of support is as a result of the disconnect between students' expectations of the institutions or expectations of the kind of support they want from the institutions, and the institutions' misunderstandings of students' cognitive capabilities, such that there's evidence that indicates that institutions provide this kind of support when students don't really need them. While at the same time, we don't want to withstand the benefits that scribes bring into the learning process of students. Of course, they shed off a bit of cognition load because a student now only has to focus on their control keys on the keyboard and also rely on the scribe on the side just to give them an idea if they're getting it right, they're moving towards the right direction. At the same time, the scribes can give students visual material about the learning, teaching, or whatever that is being taught at that time. In this case, we're talking about computer practice, especially if the material is inaccessible in digital format. And again, they assist students with reading question papers and examination papers, of which shouldn't be the case if JAWS was used in a proper way. So my argument is that the problem with such kind of support is that it forfeits students' autonomy in their learning processes. And again, it questions the relevance and the benefits of such kinds of computer application systems. It questions their capacities to say, and they supposed to give students enough confidence to be able to work on their own. Again, it takes away empowerment and does not prepare students for the real work environment, because in the workplace, then the scribe won't be there. A student will be expected to perform without the availability of a scribe.
Sorry
and
to
again,
interject. I'm sorry
yes.
to interject. Huh? You are in your last
Yes.
5 minutes, please.
Oh, is
I'm sorry,
it?
yeah. I'm sorry to interject.
I have to move. Most importantly, it underestimates students' capacities to acquire more skills on their computer fluencies. Therefore, there is a need to educate educators, even students themselves, on the proper use of JAWS so that they can be provided with enhanced learning experiences and promote educational technology relevance, and also inspire students' independency as well as their capacities. And this is a summary of what I've just said, so I might as well just move. So the aim of the study is to examine the effect of the use of JAWS in enhancing computer practice educators, as well as their students' cognition in rural TVET colleges. Also to examine if the rural TVET colleges acceptance model that has been proposed is in fact can in fact predict and understand students' acceptance of computer practice by computer practice students as well as their educators. So there are 4 research questions, and the 4 research questions, although I'm not going to read them, all of them, but the research questions lead us into choosing 2 theoretical frameworks, that is an asset-based approach as well as a technology acceptance model. An asset-based approach comes from educational psychology, which in fact appreciates and acknowledges assets or resources or capacities that in this case institutions of learning, that is the TVET colleges, has in resolving deficiencies or challenges that students with visual impairments may experience in their learning. So the model here presents that even a rural TVET college is an asset base which is meant to enhance capacities or human development that is, it develops as students in understanding better or to become societies or people who will be able to contribute to the economic world of the country. And if you look at the Insight Circle, it shows the asset that TVET colleges have that can be used in enhancing their capacities. That is the fact that there is JAWS in TVET colleges, that is an asset. And looking at the students' previous experiences on the use of JAWS, their self-efficacy, their educator self-efficacy, the resources that are there to support the use of JAWS, as well as the skills that they have to use JAWS. These are assets that can be used to enhance students as well as educators' cognition and use of technology. And if we move on to a technology acceptance model, this one was has to do, or in fact, let me just say, it looks at the effect of the use of how users perceive the use and the usefulness as well as the easiness of the technology towards their behavioral intention or even their actual system usage. So using this model, the study has developed a proposed TVET college acceptance model. And also using it, it has created or developed an hypothesis that we wish to prove. So on the left, there is a model that has been developed and the hypothesis and the sources of those hypotheses, there are about 10 of them. The table presents the themes that are in fact forming a conceptual framework of the entire study. And these themes come from the 2 theories. And on the left, the two theories indicate which questions will be addressed by each theory. The research approach that has been used in a study is an exploratory sequential mixed method. This is because the phenomenon that is the use of JAWS has been scarcely researched. And again, because the study is a mixed study method based on the types of the research questions, the study is sequential in the sense that it will start by generating or collecting qualitative data to understand the phenomenon better. Thereafter, we can move to quantitative data. So on the left, it shows the kind of research questions that will be addressed by the qualitative approach. And on the right, these are questions that would be addressed by the quantitative approach. So the choice of this method is based on the types of questions that need to be addressed. And the research paradigm that is used will be a pragmatic paradigm. This is based on the fact that as much as First, it's because we're using the mixed method. And again, based on the assumptions or philosophies of a pragmatic researcher, we understand in this case that institutions of learning have found comfort in the use of scribes. Now, the introduction of the use of JAWS, or should I say the effective use of JAWS might not well received by everybody else. So we want to cover all philosophies, both from the qualitative and quantitative side. And the design that will be used is an experimental one, and the population will be from 150. This is an estimation because we're not sure of the number that we can have. And this is based on literature that states that doing statistical research with people with visual impairments, usually you don't get a huge number of participants. Hence, the sample size is calculated to be 109. And the sample that will be used from the population will use a purposeful sampling because we understand the kind of people or participants that we need, and that is students with visual impairments and their educators in the subject of computer practice in rural TVET colleges. And there is a model that shows how the experimental design will be done in the study. And the analysis of data, before we come to the analysis, maybe I need to also state how data will be generated. Data, if you look at this table, will be generated using focus groups, pre-test and post-test, and questionnaires from educators and students. So the table indicates clearly which question will use which data source and what the respondents that will be used. And for data analysis, for qualitative data, we'll use thematic analysis. And for quantitative data, we'll use descriptive analysis as well as partial least squares to address research question 1, 2, and 3. Also to predict the target and explain the target variable. In this case, that is the dependent variable will be educators and students' behavioral intention towards the use of JAWS, and the latent variables will be perceived attitude, usefulness, ease of use, self-efficacy, facilitating conditions as well. And also the PLSSE will also assess if there's a significant difference between rural TVET educators and students' coefficients, which is addressing research question 4. And why the choice of a PLSM? It's because of a small sample size, and it has its ability to be able to correct the errors. And most importantly, it's for exploratory research. As I stated, that this is an exploratory research. Also, the data collected from the participant is not usually normally distributed, and it can also analyze multiple group, or it's for multiple groups. And lastly, as I conclude, Prof, when we report the PLSM, we use 2 models. The first model is a measurement model. That is when we'll assess the quality of the construct in a questionnaire. And lastly, we'll use the structural model. That is where we're giving more details of the hypothesis results. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, our colleague. Thank you very much, colleagues, also for paying attention and listening. Look, I'm not going to do anything, just hoping that we have comments, questions from our colleagues. Please, you can unmute and just start questioning or commenting. I'm not seeing whose hand is up, so we have some time to, at least 5 minutes to take some questions. Please later write down their questions, write down, let them, if the person probably might mention the name, and then you put down the name, and then if you don't understand it properly, you make a follow-up with the person, because I won't do it for you. And that might help you, please. So colleagues, please assist. Our colleague has finished, and any comments or questions or any improvements?
Good afternoon. Good morning. Good morning,
Yes,
colleagues. Good morning.
yes.
It's Logan Athimulam here from the Faculty of
Yes.
Education. And first of all, Lishle, I really want to congratulate you, on your thoroughness and in the way that you presented, you know, um, your proposal very confidently, very articulately. And I think for some of us, for me, I'm a language person. So this area is something new, to me. But I really understood everything, according to the way that you presented it. So thank you very much. Well done on this. I also, in terms of what you presented, I must say that, you've covered everything quite extensively. But there's a few questions that I have. The first question that I wanted to ask you relates to your measures of trustworthiness. I may have missed it. You may have it there, but towards the end, you needed to rush. Maybe I must pose a couple of questions because there may be other speakers that want to ask a few questions. So I'm going to say what I want to and end and let other people come in. The first one is I wanted to suggest that with regard to your aim, I see that your aim is quite multi-pronged. So maybe you need to think about how you can refine the aim because there's quite a lot in that aim. So just to kind of refine it, to knock it down so that, it becomes more clearer and more articulate so that we know exactly what the aim is. And in terms of your research, your main and your, I think you also should include a main research question. I think you have an aim, but there's no main research question there. Gee, these are just my thoughts, you can
Yes.
you can think about it, So the other question, maybe I must give you a couple of questions and then you can respond. So, I mean, then I don't have to wait for response in each time. So the first question is, what are your measures of trustworthiness for the qualitative section and the validity and reliability? Because that's always the issue that comes up that examiners will want to look at, how valid is it? How reliable is it? So you need to just maybe point that out. The second one that I want to point out to you is maybe, I may have missed it, but especially because you had to go quite fast, is the ethical considerations that need to be included as well. And one suggestion that I would like to make because would be to have quite a clear clarification of JAWS, clarification of that term within your proposal as well, so that people have a good sense, of what it actually means. But I do understand that you were trying to make
I've lost the speaker, but I think I got what the speaker is trying to say about clarification of what JAWS is all about.
Have you lost me?
I'm the only one who's lost a speaker.
Can you hear us, Lisa? Lisa? Hello?
Yes, Bruce. Oh, sorry.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear
Lisa?
Prof? Can you hear Prof. Atimula?
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Okay.
I lost you, Prof, when we were talking about clarity on JAWS.
Okay. So let me just say that perhaps in the clarification of terms, the JAWS should be more clearly articulated there, yes, so that the reader has a good sense of what it actually means. I understand your study. I think it's a very, very good study. I think it's pivotal that this study be done, especially in the light of the fact that, you have this computer-assisted technology and yet people don't know how to use it. So why are they investing in this kind of technology if people are not using it? And then also to have the scribe on the side, that sometimes could be too overwhelming for the student who is trying to concentrate on listening to what the lecturers are saying and also trying to follow what the scribe is saying. So well done. I think very good study. I'm very happy with the way that you set up everything. It's very clear what you want to do, but just a few questions from my side. Sorry for taking up so much time. I just wanted to, I hope I didn't take up too much time, Professor Biaga.
That's exactly what we're looking for. The comments are very important. Thanks very much for your comments. And I'm sure Lisa, you have noted everything down. Unfortunately, Brother Bruce is busy recording. You have to listen to them again and pick the key things that Prof is saying and input that and effect the changes. In the interest of time, I think we can take another comment as opposed to you commenting or responding to Prof. But take notice of all the questions and comments he said, and then we'll take one or two more comments and move on to Michael. Colleagues, any more comments or questions or any form of improvement you want to see?
Good morning. Is there no one else? Is Dr. Mapasa?
Yes, Dr. Mapasa. Thank you very much. Please go.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Lisha, for the presentation. I am going to go straight to the participants. All right. You said you're gonna use you're mentioning 3 provinces. Is Eastern Cape, Gauteng, and KZN, something like that, but you don't mention how many colleges from these provinces you will use. I don't want you to answer, Lishe, we don't have time. And then you said you're gonna use focus groups. For focus groups, how many focus groups are you going to do? One focus group? Are you going to do many focus groups? Unfortunately, Prof, we didn't read the proposal. Maybe they are in the proposal, some of what we are asking. And then something else, you said the sample is going to be 109, like Prof Atemulam. I also am not I'm not a quantitative researcher, I'm qualitative. So when you say it's gonna be 109, it's a sample of 109, it's not clear to me how many students with visual impairment will be in the sample and how many lecturers will be there. Maybe that needs to be clarified, that it will be so many SWVIs and so many lecturers in the intended sample. And what else is there? Yeah, I think that is that. And then I'm not sure whether the last slide is that your intended contribution to knowledge. The last slide.
Oh, that was not mentioned, Doc. But
okay, no, it's fine. It's okay.
Yes.
You don't have to respond now, Lisha. Note, and then we will talk again. Yes. And all the best with your proposal defense. Thanks, Prof. Bayaga.
Thank you very much. Also, very much for your input. Thanks. Any one more comment? Any comments?
Thank you very much, Prof. Bayaga. Lishe, I'm still a novice researcher, so I don't have much to say in terms of the other presentations. But in general, my comment would be, I would agree with the first speaker. Your presentation was thoroughly prepared. You showed confidence, and I wish you all the best. The study is indeed relevant. It couldn't have came at the right time, where the country in general is still struggling with the acknowledgement of how to implement transformative approaches in as far as the inclusive education is concerned. I would want to just point one aspect to say, at the current state, as you have said, there's only 3 colleges that are really administering or that have this software, is because most of the colleges, they enroll the students for the sake of just reporting, for reporting statuses. So indeed, your study is going to be relevant, is going to assist most of our rural sisters and brothers who are facing the challenge at the moment. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best. And yeah, that's all, Prof, from my side.
Okay, all right. Dr. Makosi, thanks very much. Thanks very much, Sister Makosi. I see Prof. Prelin's hand has been up for a long time, and thanks, Bruce, for actually making it this way, because now I can see the hand. Sorry for keeping you for longer. Please, your comment, questions, anything to Lisa. That will be the last comment, and possibly now we jump on to Mike.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll be quick. It's an honor to be in your faculty. I'm from computer science. So excuse me if my questions are out of ignorance. The one thing that worries me a bit is that when the problem statement was stated, the problems with the software is already highlighted. Now, after that, I was expecting that this research would now investigate an intervention that tries to address those problems. But it seems like this research is purely just going to confirm those problems. There's no intervention. So I'm not sure whether that is okay. I was just a bit concerned on that. I was expecting something that would try and address these problems, and then a research to see whether it helped. And then when in our discipline, when we see a hypothesis, we normally say to ourselves that means quantitative research, so you can prove the hypothesis true or not. So I'm not convinced. I'm not sure whether there will be enough data and enough participants to do a quantitative proof of a hypothesis. But you guys might think of a hypothesis differently. So that's just from my background. That's my 2 comments. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Prof, for your comment. I'm sure, Lisa, you are taking notice of those 2 comments, as well as what Makosi and all the colleagues said, Prof. Atimula, as well as Dr. Mapasa. Please, fortunately, you have their names. If there's a need that you make a follow-up with them, please do that. You are free to do that. I'm sure they would make 1 or 2 minutes to clarify what they mean so that you strengthen your work. I'll give you that opportunity to do that. Thanks very much, colleagues, for all your inputs. All of them have been noted, and there will be action, and soon, if there's a need, they will get back to you. Michael, I hope you are ready. Please, I hope you would spend, well, from my side, I honestly don't want to say anything, but from my side, Lisa, you probably have to work on your time, that's all.
Yes,
the key thing is for others to contribute, not for me to say anything anymore. But from my side, you have to, because there are quite a number of things that I know you could have said. But so from my side, work on your time a little bit. Thanks very much, colleagues. Mike, would you do us a favor and take over? And please try to.
Yes, please.
We had just 1 hour to get this thing done. So.
Good morning, Prof. and
Yes,
colleagues.
sir. Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, good morning, Mike. You can go on. We are all yours. We can hear you. I can hear you. I'm sure colleagues can also hear Mike Busunche.
Yes, please.
Okay.
I would like to
share your screen. Share your screen with us.
So I can go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can. Mike, you can go on.
So you can see my screen now. Is my screen shared, please? Not
yet. Try to share your work. Click on the share screen, and then I will pick up your work.
Okay.
Your PowerPoint. Click on the share screen.
Okay. Yes, please.
Okay, I think it's sharing. Give it a moment.
Okay.
Hi, Prof. Before Michael goes ahead, do you want me to end Leisha's recording and start a new one, or do you want it?
Say it again.
Would you like me to end this recording and start a new one? For
Michael's, no, it's fine.
At
one go is fine. It's one go is fine.
No problem. Okay. No,
within that 1 hour, I want us to just pay attention to this. It's fine.
Cool.
Okay, you can go on. We can see your screen, sir. Mike, can you hear me? Hello, Mike. Hello. Mike, we can't hear you. I don't think the colleagues are here. Bruce, can you please help me whether, clarify whether you can hear Mike?
I can't hear him either. And I'm wondering if him sharing his screen is not using up his bandwidth. That could be causing a bit of a lag.
Yeah, let me write here.
Yeah, most likely I had a bit of a connection issue.
Okay, good morning. Share your screen. Yes, share your screen. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay, share your screen. We are ready. I think we'll be ready for some time. So you simply share your screen and proceed.
Yes, please.
Yes.
My name is Michael Bosunchi, and I'm presenting on. I'm defending my PhD proposal today. The topic is student background characteristics, instructional and teacher quality as determinant of mathematics achievement in senior high schools in Ghana. The approach is a multi-level approach. I also like to talk about the outline for the presentation. It's shared. I quickly move on to the background to the study. I'm looking at mathematics achievement in senior high schools in Ghana, and I'm looking at variations in their mathematics achievement. This screen shared is where the students are taking their final examination conducted by West Africa Examination Council. It's a body that supervises regional examination and awards certificates to students after their 3-year SHS program. For the SHS curriculum, students are supposed to do English, math, and other courses, and mathematics is a compulsory subject. This attests to the fact that mathematics as a subject has been recognized as a gateway to life and economic development. So many countries actually giving emphasis to that, and we can see it from European Commission 2011, FOGAS, and later 2017, and Ministry of Education, Science and Sport Ghana also all claim that studying mathematics is very, very important. However, there are issues with the study of mathematics or student performance that I'm looking at. There are issues. For example, it has been observed or research has proved that students do not perform well as a result of teachers' inability to complete the mathematics syllabus in the case of SHS in Ghana, and other factors could be not only Ghana, but across countries or globally. We can have issue of inadequate teaching resources, inadequate qualified teachers to teach the program, poor teaching methods that some teachers use, and student low educational aspiration. I mean, attitude towards mathematics is also low or poor, and classroom environment. These are some of the problems that identified as mitigating against student high achievement in mathematics. However, studies have also suggested that if you look at the combination, we take student background into consideration, teacher quality and instructional quality, we will be better understand why there are differences in student performance. So this was suggested by Michael et al. 2016 and Kremer and Kerekejas 2008, they are saying that when we look at, we will better understand the differences of why students are not all at the same level when we consider their background characteristics, look at teacher quality and instructional quality. This will give us better picture or global picture of why students are not doing well in my case. So some of the construct or variables I will be looking at under student characteristics has to do with is anchored on Cremer's and Kirakeda's 2008 model. Here, they looked at some of the variables that I will be looking at under student characteristics, background characteristics include parent education, gender, and number of books that students have or have at home. And teacher quality, I'm looking at teaching experience, number of years teachers, the teacher has engaged the student or has taught. Professional development, whether he has been having in-service training on the job and other professional development programs you can think of. Self-efficacy, the teacher is confident in teaching the subject mathematics at senior high schools. And I'm looking at the qualification of, educational qualification of the teacher who is teaching the course, whether he has the right qualification to teach the student. And I'm also looking at their instructional quality. I'm looking at support that teachers give to students during teaching and learning. I'm looking at cognitive activation. Here I'm looking at how the teacher asks questions and gives them high level or whatever thinking that the teacher put into it. Classroom management and vis-a-vis clarity of instruction. These are some of the variables I'll be looking at to understand the issue of student mathematics performance or achievement. I'm on the problem statement. Here, the problem has to do with, I have articulated that math performance in WASI has been recording very poor performance or very low performance. And this has been attributed to Abra et al. 2018 when they studied or looked at the trend for about 10 years. And they said maths is one of the poorest performing courses in the West African Senior High School examination. Yearly, WAEC, which is the body that conducts examination, Chief Examiner's Report in 2019 also suggested that maths performance has been repeating every year. Yearly is the same performance. The performance is either going down or it's not even increasing. There is another issue that I would like to talk about. It has to do with math studies has not been conducted in non-Western countries. So there is the need for us to look at it. This was supported by Nelson et al. 2016. They are saying that my study that has to look at a combination of student background characteristics, teacher quality, and instructional quality is not much has not been seen in Africa and perhaps non-Western country. So this study draws on Cremer's and Kirakeda's 2008 model will be used to look at the dynamics or the combination of teacher quality, instructional quality, and student characteristics to understand the problem better. Research aim or purpose. The purpose of the study is to investigate student background characteristics, teacher quality, and instructional quality as determinant of mathematics achievement at the West African Senior High School certificate examination in Ghana. This statistical analysis of the multi-leveling approach will be used to analyze the data collected from the students and their mathematics teachers. So these are the students in their final year, third year SHS, and their teachers that teach them will we will take the data from them, and the data will be analyzed using multi-level approach. Some of the questions that will be addressed or will be looked at in the study will guide the study as follows. One, we look at the impact. What impact does student background characteristics have on mathematics achievement in WASI in Ghana? Two, how much of teacher quality explains student achievement in mathematics in Ghana? What dimensions of teacher instructional quality are related to student mathematics success in WASI in Ghana? Then finally, the fourth question, we'll look at the combination of teacher student background characteristics, instructional and teacher quality as they relate to student mathematics achievement in WASI. The theoretical and literature review as follows. First, I said that the theoretical framework will be based on, will be adapted from Kremers and Karakedes 2008. They have about 4 levels, but I'm going to use 2 levels because I'm going to actually use multi-level analysis, 2-level multi-level analysis to analyze the data. So it is good that I adopt the framework to suit the statistical analysis that will be employed in the study. So I have 2 stages. Here I have my independent variable, that's teacher quality, and the variables in the teacher qualities are there. That's the construct is teacher quality, and the variables are there, or the concepts are there. Then instructional quality, the variables to be measured are support climate, clarity of instruction, cognitive activation, classroom management. Then the lower level, which is student background characteristics. I'm looking at parent, education, number of books at home, and gender. These are the 3 variables that will be discussed under student background characteristics. Then the dependent variable is mathematics score or achievement that will be taken from West Africa Examination Council after the student examination, WASI examination. The literature review will focus on studies that has been done in this area. First, I will be looking at student background characteristics and student mathematics achievement. Variables or areas I will focus on will be gender, look at number of books at home, parent education, then teacher quality and student mathematics achievement. Studies in that area will focus on teacher education, teaching experience, teacher professional development, and teacher self-efficacy. These are the things that I will look at. Then instructional quality and student mathematics achievement. I will look at classroom management, clarity of instruction, cognitive activation, and the rest. These will be the topics or subheadings under each one. Then I will look at the methodology, how the study will be conducted, or how information will be taken, data will be taken from the participant or respondent. Here, I'm looking at student writing or candidates in WASI, that's they have completed, they are in their 3rd year. And I will also look at their mathematics teachers The research design that I will employ for this study is a cross-sectional data. The purpose of using cross-sectional data is that it will allow me to cover a wide range of respondents at a given time period. I mean, the time here is once, even though the data will not be taken from them at one point. It will be done one slot. Further data will not be taken from the student. That is looking at the longitudinal study. No, this is a cross-sectional study where information will be taken from the student at one point in time. The population or the target population comprises all third-year students and their mathematics teacher from 646 public schools across 16 regions in Ghana. We have 16 regions in Ghana, so 4 of them regions will be selected for this study. A sample size of 3,616 students will be selected for this study, and 315 mathematics teachers from 125 schools will be selected for this study.
Mike, please let me interrupt you a little bit. Please, we have 5 minutes to wrap up, please. Sorry to interrupt you, but we have 5 minutes because others would have things to
Thank you very much. Okay. Then the sampling method to be used is a multi-level sampling technique. It's a 2-stage multi-level sampling technique because in the first stage, I will identify regions where the schools are located. Then I select the schools. From there, I use simple random sampling to also follow up to select the individual schools and classrooms that I'll be using for the study. Data collection method, I propose 2 data collection techniques. One has to do with questionnaire for students and teachers, and second one has to do with mathematics objectives that will be adapted from, based on West Africa Examination Council, their past question, 2020 past question will be used, because the idea is to ensure content validity of the test items. That I do not set different questions for students, which is out of the curriculum they are using. Validity and reliability of the instrument will also be checked to ensure that the findings of the study reflect the population that really the study was conducted, and can also be used to extend to other people in that category. Data analysis procedure to be used is a multi-level sampling, a multi-level approach here, because a multi-level approach or analysis has to do with levels in which the data is collected. So this technique will be used using IBM SPSS version 25 software. These are some of the references I thought I could show to everyone. And thank you for listening to this presentation.
All right. Okay. Mike, thank you very much. I'm sure you would generally, from our side, I wouldn't ask questions. I'm sure general to you and my colleague, Lisa, you would work on your times later. But then I'll leave it to our specialist audience to respond or comment or say something where you'll be able to. Please take notice of their comment. If you want to respond, can write them down their names and make a follow-up with them, and try to use whatever they say to strengthen your proposal. I'm sure that's why they are here, to assist, to see how do things, and also hopefully those of our colleagues I'm working with will have a sense of what we're also doing here. So colleagues, thank you very much for listening. It's now your time to comment, question, say anything you want to say to them, and see how the colleagues will be able to improve on their work. Bruce, I'm not sure if you, I think Mike, you can now stop sharing. Bruce would now you will have the screen itself so that anyone who raises up their hand, I can see it and not let people hang on for a long time. Yes, colleagues, please. And Lisa, all of our colleagues who are studying or not, you can ask questions. Lisa, for instance, you can. Makosi, you can. Welcome, Prof. Sina. I see you are also here. Colleagues, all yours. Yes, sir. Jan, Jan has a question now. Get ready, please.
Yes, please.
Prof. Relin has a question for you, or a comment or anything you want to say.
Yes, once again, from a different discipline. If I listen to the, let's call it the metrics you specify at the start of what has an influence, etc. My immediate question was, aren't there other ones that you're not thinking of? How do you know that you're looking at the right ones? Is there a way of identifying maybe other influence that you don't think of during your research?
Yes, Mike, any response to Prof?
Yes, please. The other influence, this is not experimental research method, it's a survey. And I'm not controlling any variable. I'm looking at the responses they will give it to me. So I'm looking at if a student, the questionnaire has to do with number of books that you have, your parent education, and maybe they will select the agenda. So for WASI examination, that the test that they will take, that's the only aspect that perhaps it's already a past question, it's already outside. But however, I will also ensure that the questions are not known to them. Thank you very much.
Okay. Prof. Relin, do you want to make a follow-up?
Yes, the follow-up would be, and maybe I missed it during the presentation, normally when you come up with those factors that you want to look at, have you got enough literature to confirm that you've looked at the right, that you're looking at the right ones? So can you motivate well from literature that the metrics that you have identified to look at are the ones to look at?
Yes, Prof.
Mike, yeah, respond.
Yes, Prof. The available literature suggests that much studies have been done elsewhere. I mean, in the European country and other American, but less has been done, or few studies have been done in Ghana and perhaps West Africa, with a combination looking at student level factor, teacher instructional quality, and teacher quality. These combination, and also using Kramer's and Karakada's model to sort of test or extend knowledge in that domain have not been looked at. But as the time of presentation, I checked, nobody has, in Ghanaian domain, and possibly West Africa in general, no one has done it using WASI students for their analysis. None of the studies I've come across, but there are other studies that has been done in Europe using team data. Team data, here I'm referring to trend international mathematics and science study. Some people have done work like that. For example, Brummel et al. 2016, they have looked at the tested Cremer's and Krakauer's model, which I'm also going to use it in Ghana. So I'm sure no one has done the work of that nature. Thank you.
Okay, before we move on to the next comment, Prof, do you still want, you have a follow-up or something? Yeah.
Let's rather give the other people a chance.
Okay, we'll come back to you.
Thanks.
Before
Thank you.
I move on to, before I come to Dr. Mike, I see TVET full name. Probably you, I'm sure this is just a name, a pseudonym or something. Could you, I saw your hand up. Could you possibly identify yourself and so that Mike would,
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Thanks,
there
Prof.
you go.
It's Lucky Malolo.
Hey, my dearest man, Lucky. Welcome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, and apologies.
Yes. Oh, we lost you.
Late, but the question that I had was actually answered. Oh, am I gone?
No,
the question that I have is that it was actually answered. You know, Michael just actually answered the question in his in the last statement, and it was about the uniqueness of the study that I actually wanted to actually.
Shane, we're losing you, huh? We just lost you again.
It's a survey, and I see 125 schools, so it can actually cover like a wide scale. But I just want to check because I may have missed this part, and apologies for that. Because I think there are many theories. You know, I think if you look at sociology, you've got all those theories of habitus where they actually look at the origin, you know, of if let's say we want to look at performance, if we want to look at aspiration, whatever we actually want to look at, but also tracing back, and I think it's located within the backgrounds that you're actually looking at. I just want to see if you how you are actually looking at it. You know, how deep are you going in terms of looking at the influence, you know, of the background in particular, and maybe what are the some of the concepts, and I can only think of Bourdieu's habitus, for example, that's tends to actually look at the origin of how people behave and act, how they perform at school and culture and all those kinds of things. Thank you, Michael, and thanks, Prof.
Yes, sir. Okay, so Mike, please help us understand this important comment, question from Dr. Lagi.
Thank you, Prof. Chair. I think it has to be a combination of qualitative and quantitative research, where I can delve into understanding, for example, the gender issue, why maybe perhaps boys are outperforming girls. And then I will be going into qualitative aspect, understanding maybe the cultural background. But this is a quantitative research that is anchored on Cremer's and Krakauer's model. They have 4 strands, but I'm looking at only 2. And vis-a-vis, I know these are the issues that perhaps confront, looking at the literature, confront or explain the variabilities in student results, mathematics results. I mean, the differences. I'm not looking at their culture, but maybe further studies, I can look at it, or I can maybe perhaps give somebody opportunity to look at it. It could be one of my recommendations that further studies could be done in, somebody could look at quantitative, qualitative research and understand the dynamics, the differences in maybe student background. And thank you, Prof.
All right, before I move on to Mike, Lucky, do you still want to pursue that question?
Yes, please, Prof. Earlier on, you suggested that I do a combination of, I do qualitative research and add qualitative, that's a mixed method research. That was your suggestion. And I think this question has to do with that. Understanding, yes, understanding student background, maybe some of the variables, if I want to go into it, then I need to look at it from qualitative aspect. That's my thinking. And
that's fine. That's what I'm saying, Mike. Lucky, do you still want to pursue that question?
Oh,
No,
sorry.
I'm fine, Prof. I think in future, of course, I'll have an opportunity, you know, to meet Mike or see what Mike is doing. I think we can have it. But I think for now, I think it is actually satisfactory. I think it's yeah. I'm well answered, and I think it's
Okay.
it's taking a reasonable approach. Thanks.
Okay, before we come to Jan, let's go to
Sure.
Mike. Mike, Alex. Dr. Mike, welcome. Let's take your comment, huh? You are muted. You are muted. Unmute yourself, huh? You are muted. Just let me say one word, or let me say one word or so. I still would come back and then have a meeting with you, Dr. Mike. Dr. Mike is actually one of our new colleagues who has joined us on postdoc. And I also use the opportunity to say possibly Prof. Krellin, we might have to meet sometime, just using the opportunity. I haven't met him physically yet. I'm currently out of the country. And once I come, we'll do that. So, well, you can go on, Dr. Mike.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good morning, Prof. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mike, I enjoyed your presentation, and your topic is very good. I just have some little comments to make.
Yes, please.
Concerning your study, your research area, particularly students' performance in Ghana.
Yes, please.
I think you need to be very specific. You cannot just talk about students' performance in Ghana generally. I want to believe in mathematics, there are some specific topics that students find it difficult to perform. So for you to just take blanket mathematics in general, as in students doesn't perform in mathematics based on WAEC chief examiner's report, I think you need to go deep down to check what are the topics based on the WAEC chief examiner's report that these students in Ghana are not performing very well. Then based on your review of the chief examiner's report, you can be able to specifically say, okay, these areas are where students are not performing, than to just say mathematics in general, students are not performing well. So this is one of the observations I've made. Then another area, again, based on your presentation, I have not seen where you talk about ethical consideration. Are you saying you are going to work with secondary data, or ethics is not going to be part of it? Because I didn't see any slide that you actually discuss about that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alex. Look, Mike, are you able to please assist us with Dr. Alex's comment or question? Clarify if you can.
Yes, please, Prof.
Yes.
In the proposal I sent, ethical consideration was captured or was considered, and sorry, I couldn't capture it in my this dry run test. I hope I will capture it next time in the main presentation. So it has been done in the in the main work.
All right, okay. The second part of the question, we get that. I think he did ask two parts. The questions are in two parts. I think.
Yes, please.
Yes,
the
we
first
addressed
one,
that.
the first question he was asking maybe specific system, whether it is algebra, is it geometry, or is it data interpretation aspect. Yes. Actually, WAEC report actually tells us specific areas that students don't perform well over the years, and I will look at it. I will look at it and maybe add it to incorporate it into the work. Either I will look at it from maybe why students are not able to do algebra consistently. Maybe there are algebra questions they have not been able to do it, or otherwise. So I will look at it and maybe consider it in the next presentation. I will read around it. But in general, I'm looking at mathematics performance in general, even though math has specific areas, and WAEC reports, the chief examiner's reports also do highlight that. But I'm looking at the variations in their scores, why specific schools are doing well, why other schools are not doing well. They are all being taught by teachers. For Ghana here, the requirement is that a teacher must have first degree, either in physical sciences or to teach, or mathematics or math education, before you'll be allowed to teach in second cycle. So why is it that school A is doing better than school B? Because they all do this, they all have the same syllabus or the same curriculum. They all go through 3-year program. Is it as a result of student background characteristics, or is it as a result of teaching methods, or is it about the teacher quality? So these are the problems that, or these are the issues that I would like to find answers to. That is the area or the focus of the study. I'm not looking at whether students are not able to do algebra, but I'm looking at why there are variations in their scores. And other studies have done, WAEC examiner's report is saying that student performance, even though they report all these things, but it keeps on repeating. The performance, every year they do assessment of the performance, their performance. So they highlight areas that students could not do. But I'm looking at, my research focus is on student background characteristics, teacher quality, and teacher instructional quality.
Okay,
Why
Mike,
is it that? Yes, please.
Let me interrupt. I think we got the point a bit clear. Let's, in the interest of time, let's assume you would work on it.
Yes,
and then maybe have a discussion with your supervisor, whoever he is, and
Okay.
then Dr. Alex
Thank you,
later.
Prof.
And
Michael.
let's take one more comment from, I see Prof. Helen seem to have one more comment when we are moving on. If you still have it and interested, please go on. We take one more comment and then that's it.
Prof, I'm listening.
Yes, I'll be very quick. My question would be, if you're looking at all these influences, do they not also simply influence all the other subjects? How do we know that they have a direct influence on mathematics and not on science and language and accounting? That's just a quick question that an examiner might ask. I'm not sure.
Yes,
Hello,
Mike,
Prof.
that's a very good question from Prof. Can you
Yes,
assist us
please.
understand it?
Yes, please. Can you come again? I didn't get the last part.
You're looking at variables or metrics that you say your research is on maths, that
Yes,
you
please.
say have negative influence on learners' maths marks.
Yes,
If
please.
I was an examiner, I would say, don't they have a negative influence on all the other marks? Why highlight maths? Do they not influence the other marks? I hope I make sense.
Thank you, Prof.
Yes, Mike, do you want to respond?
Yes, please.
Okay.
My, like I said, my focus is to look at mathematics, even though the other courses could have influence on the study or the performance of students in mathematics. But the focus or the area, the boundary of the work, the delimitation of the studies to look at mathematics. So I'm looking at mathematics now, and I'm looking at the teachers who teach the course and students at the moment. That is outside my focus now. Thank you.
Okay, let me come in here a little bit. Probably just gonna be 1 minute dialogue between myself and John. Are you suggesting that, are you querying why he's looking at maths as opposed to language, as opposed to social science, as opposed to business comments, as opposed to engineering?
I'm just asking which of these metrics are directly relevant to maths and won't have an influence on other subjects? Would the research be different if we say learners do poorly at school? Let's look at the results. Is there specific metrics that have a direct impact on maths and not on the others? Will that distinction be made?
Mike, do you want to respond?
Yes, I did say that the work for the PhD work, I'm looking at mathematics performance alone. That will be outside the scope of my study. Maybe
one can take this further, or you can take it further with your supervisor.
Yeah,
yes, please.
yeah. I think so. I think also, Mike, as a general comment, you probably would keep this and start looking into it. I'm not sure whether you would be, as part of your statistical approach, whether you'll be looking at confounding variables, because when Prof. Relin was talking, I think the first thing that came to mind was confounding variables. Okay. You possibly have to begin to dig into the confounding variables. One, you possibly have to begin to dig into mediating variables. Two, you possibly have to start digging into mediates, confounding. I think these two key ones are there. You should possibly begin to think start directing yourself towards that.
Yes,
and then that probably would give a sense of the extra burden some of these variables might have or might not have, and hence be able to answer what Prof. Krelin is talking about.
Thank you.
I think that's where I'm going to leave it at. And then any last. Sorry, any last comment? I see I muted myself. Yes, one last comment from Lucky. Oh, Lucky, you're clapping your hands, sorry. Okay. So look, colleagues, thank you very much for your time, your stay. I did say up to 1 hour, but exactly is 1 hour, 30 minutes, which I did expect. Thank you very much. Those of you who have been joining me.
Starting to make sense of it, that indeed, if you actually focus on maths, it means that you actually have to say that this is only applicable to maths or something like that. But I think the journey is long, and and all the best, Michael, all the best with your study. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So colleagues, thanks very much. From time to time, we will be doing this pretty soon. I'm sure there's one more person coming, but that will be around next month or so. This is not going to be very frequent. It's infrequent based on when the candidate is ready. But thank you very much for making your 1.5 hour time, available to us, colleagues who have joined us. Also, thank you very much. And I also look forward to attending yours and also learning a lot from your program and how you conduct your research in your disciplines. And I hope to see you again. I hope later, and Mike, you've taken notice of all the comments and the names of the colleagues who have contributed. And if you want to contact them, unfortunately, they are all within the university. If you're outside of the faculty, you can contact them and have a chat with them and consult your supervisors and see how you guys work. But otherwise, I wish to say first a big thank you to our colleagues who have come, and then of course to our honorable speakers, Lita and Mike. Take good care of yourself, and then we'll get to chat later. Otherwise,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye and thank you.
Thank you.